Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Layo Adegoke. We begin in Norway, where just a few hours ago, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has been handed his Nobel Peace Prize medal at a ceremony in Norwegian capital Oslo. The chairperson of the Nobel Committee, Berit Reiss-Andersen, said that he represented a new generation of African leaders who realized that conflict must be resolved by peaceful means. During his speech, Mr. Ahmed said the world's leading military powers and militant groups are both threatening peace and stability in the Horn of Africa.
I accept this award on behalf of Ethiopians and Eritreans, especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the cause of peace. Likewise, I accept this award on behalf of my partner and comrade in peace, President Isaias Afwerki, whose goodwill, trust, and commitment were vital in ending the two-decade deadlock between our countries. The Horn of Africa today is a region of strategic significance. The global military superpowers are expanding their military presences in the area. Terrorist and extremist groups also seek to establish a foothold. We don't want the Horn to be a battleground for superpowers, nor a hideout for the merchants of terror and brokers of despair and misery. We want the Horn of Africa to become a treasury of peace and progress.
Meanwhile, a group of Eritreans living in Scandinavia have taken to the streets of the Norwegian capital to protest against Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's Nobel Peace Prize. The protesters in Oslo say that the benefits of the peace process between Eritrea and Ethiopia have never materialized and that the Prime Minister should not have been given the prize. Around 250 protesters marched through the city center holding placards saying things like this: Nobel Prize is for concrete peace, not rhetoric. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has shaken up Ethiopia since becoming Prime Minister in April last year. This next report shows the profile of Mr. Ahmed since taking office.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was sworn in on April 2nd, 2018. The new Prime Minister addressed grievances 9 days after in his native Oromia region, the center of violent unrest that threatened the ruling coalition's hold on Africa's second most populous nation. He was met by thousands of cheering locals, some of whom held his portrait when he arrived in Ambo, a town at the heart of protests and clashes with security forces since 2015.
With the help of the strategies we set, we have become victorious in making our struggle successful. The secret of our victory was not to focus on the past history, but rather it was by making our vision forward-looking and working in unity.
On July 8, 2019, Mr. Abiy Ahmed was welcomed by his Eritrean counterpart, Isaias Afwerki, for a historic peace summit in Asmara that marked the official end of a near 20-year military standoff. The meeting was the first of its kind between the leaders of the two Horn of Africa countries, who have been rivals since they fought a war in the late 1990s in which around 80,000 people died.
When there is peace between the Ethiopian and Eritrean people, the Horn of Africa region will become a region of peace and development. Our people who live scattered as refugees in humiliation will come back with dignity. Our citizens will not be sold and exchanged like commodities.
Eritrea's president arrived in the Ethiopian capital on July 14 for a 3-day visit, days after the two neighbors declared their state of war over. Afwerki landed in Ethiopia a week after Abiy visited Eritrea to sign a pact on resuming ties between the two countries, a move that ended a near 20-year military standoff after a border war. In August 2017, Sudan's main opposition coalition and the ruling military council signed a final power-sharing deal that paved the way for a transitional government. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was brought in as a mediator for the talks and was seen alongside South Sudanese President Salva Kiir.
Anchoring the peace process in principle of inclusivity and a vested interest in the well-being of the people of Sudan is key. It is my hope that our convening will pave the way for an agreement to emerge between the transitional government and the other parties to the talks.
Despite his peacemaking efforts, Prime Minister Ahmed faced criticism in the weeks following his Nobel Prize win, as violent protests began to break out. In late October, supporters of Ethiopian ethnic activist and media entrepreneur Jawar Mohammed rallied outside Mohammed's house after he was surrounded by police following a warning by the Prime Minister against the media owners fomenting unrest. However, in November, as a result of sweeping reforms led by the Prime Minister, Ethiopia's Sidama people voted overwhelmingly to form their own self-governing region. Ethiopia's constitution gives the right to seek autonomy to its more than 80 ethnic groups, but it's only under Abiy's political reform agenda that the government approved the Sidama request for a referendum.